Hi everyone, today I'll be looking at the solo from the song Brothers in Arms by Straits. Although the Brothers in Arms solo is fairly short and uses relatively few notes, most of which are chord notes from the underlying progression, it is a textbook example of a balanced solo which incorporates melodic and rhythmic ideas, dynamics and loads of expression to create a memorable 10 bars. The solo and song are in the key of G sharp minor, which is the relative minor of B major. These keys share the same key signature of 5 sharps. The solo begins 2 minutes 52 seconds into the tune and is played over the following chord progression. The 4 chords of this progression are the tonic, subdominant, submediant, and subtonic, or chords 1, 4, 6, and 7 in G sharp minor. Looking at the solo now, you'll notice that in this example I've also included the bar preceding the solo. The actual solo starts here at this double line and ends here at this double line. As I mentioned previously, the Brothers in Arms solo uses few notes, but all are well chosen and essentially move between chord notes or harmony notes. Most solos use harmony notes as a framework to which other notes can be added, and as we'll see, the Brothers in Arms solo is no exception. In fact, this solo uses very few non-harmony notes. The solo begins with a G sharp minor arpeggio played over the G sharp minor chord. Simply arpeggiating chords in this way can be uninteresting, as it is essentially restating the underlying chord progression. In this context, however, Dire Straits guitarist Mark Knopfler uses several techniques to add interest to this arpeggio. Firstly, he plays it on the second beat of the bar, rather than on the first. Adding a rest before an event draws attention to whatever follows. Secondly, he extends the arpeggio by adding this F sharp note, thereby creating a G sharp minor 7th arpeggio. Knopfler then bends the F sharp upper tone to G sharp, the third of the following E major chord. This bar ends with the bend being released and the F sharp moving to E, the root note of E major. The E note is restated across the bar line, as it is also the third of the C sharp minor chord. This E note is then sustained over the following E major chord. Uniting a chord progression in this way by using common notes is another established technique in solos. The first 2 beats of the following bar again sees Knopfler using a G sharp minor 7th arpeggio over the G sharp minor chord. He again bends the F sharp up to G sharp, the third of E major. The A sharp 16th note at the end of this bar can be heard as an upper neighbour note. According to the Associated Board of the Royal Schools of Music, a neighbour note, also known as an auxiliary note, can be defined as a note which follows a harmony note by step, either above or below, but then returns to the same note. In this context, the G sharp note is the third of E major. It then moves up to the A sharp 16th note before returning to the G sharp in the following bar. In the following bar, however, the G sharp is now the 5th of the C sharp minor chord. The crucial part of this neighbour note move is that the A sharp note returns to the same note, even though the G sharp is found in 2 different chords. For the remainder of the C sharp minor bar, the melody first moves to an E note, the third of C sharp minor, and then toggles between the notes D sharp and F sharp. In this context, these notes can be heard as the 9th and 11th of the C sharp minor chord. They also recall the earlier use of these notes over the G sharp minor chord. In the following bar, the F sharp note is again bent upper tone before moving down a G sharp minor 7th arpeggio to finish on G sharp, the third of E major. Here, the A sharp note used between B and G sharp can be heard as a passing note. According to the Associated Board of the Royal Schools of Music, passing notes can be defined as notes which are used to provide a link between 2 notes in a melodic line. In this context, the A sharp passing note links the B note of the G sharp minor 7th arpeggio with the G sharp note, which is the third of the E major chord. The crucial point with passing notes is that they move by step. They can move between 2 notes of the same harmony, or as here, between 2 notes of different harmony. Here, the F sharp 16th note can be heard as a lower neighbour note to the repeated G sharps. Knopfler again unites the E major chord with the following C sharp minor chord by tying the G sharp note into the next bar. G sharp, the third of E major, becomes the fifth of C sharp minor. Knopfler plays the fifth of both the E major and F sharp major chords in the second half of this bar. At the beginning of the next bar, the note D sharp, the fifth of the G sharp minor chord, is sounded as a pre-bend before being released to the C sharp note, which passes to B. G sharp is again used as a common note between the G sharp minor and E major chords. At the end of this bar, Knopfler plays a G sharp minor arpeggio, which in this context, played over an E major chord, creates an E major 7th sound. The G sharp minor arpeggio, when preceded by a rest and followed by a C sharp note, can be heard as a motif. Again, according to the Associated Board of the Royal Schools of Music, a motif can be defined as a short musical idea which becomes a distinctive and important feature of the music. When used throughout a piece of music, motifs help to unify as they present a familiar sound which listeners can recognize. During Brothers in Arms, the G sharp minor arpeggio motif can be heard 4 times. In the next bar, Knopfler sustains the root note of the C sharp minor chord, while in the following bars over the G sharp minor chord, the C sharp note can be heard as an 11th, or as a passing note between the D sharp, the 5th of G sharp minor, and the B note, the 3rd of G sharp minor. The final A sharp note is the 3rd of the F sharp major chord. Other features of the Brothers in Arms solo include the use of volume swells, which are used in the following bars. The increase in volume of these swells gives certain notes their own dynamic shape, as opposed to the static volume of the surrounding notes. Another feature of the solo is the use of different durations for bent notes. Because all of the bends in the solo are upper tone, Knopfler varies the bends by either taking longer to bend and sustain a note, such as here, or by using a quick bend and release, such as here. As noted previously, he also uses a pre-bend here. Varying bend durations in this way can add further interest and expression to solos. This concludes the analysis of the Brothers in Arms solo. I hope you found this useful. Thanks for watching. See you next time.